Oh dear, I didn't see you there, everybody. Well, welcome back. Totally took me by surprise. Today I'm with somebody who is going to talk to us about vegan diet, Gem Lettuce. What's up?
Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you. We want to interview all these different vegan friends that we have and then see if people can change their mind based on all the anecdotes and stories that we compile. And I was just talking to John Oberg and I said, well, what do you eat in a day? And what do you do for exercise? And what do you do here and there? And so just to get it through people's head that we're normal people, we just don't eat the animal stuff, and we somehow get by, and we're not wasting away. Or what's some of the most common things that you hear from people when you say go vegan and they come up with an excuse? What's like the thing that you hear most often?
Probably, well, the most common thing is like a misconception as to what veganism actually is. So that's the thing, like when you're saying to somebody, when you're talking to somebody about veganism, you say the word vegan, they might have like a totally different kind of interpretation of what veganism actually is compared to the actual definition. So I think kind of addressing that, because you can sort of ask them sort of what's holding them back from being vegan, and you might get a response based on what their actual interpretation is, but that might not necessarily be the case. So try and give you an example, really, because a lot of the time I find that these reasons that people are giving as to why they're not vegan is based off of misinterpretations or kind of misinformation that they've kind of heard and that's been passed down. So really it can kind of range from I think the most common things are like taste, convenience, and habit. Culture is a big one. So but yeah, when you fundamentally, if you kind of take away everything and really kind of bring veganism to its basics, which is it's literally just a stance against animal exploitation and cruelty. That's all it is. Most people already agree with veganism, and basically they've already got these vegan principles and these vegan values, but they're just not living in alignment with those. So I think it's kind of educating people, and not necessarily, you're not trying to change their perspective or change their minds. You're trying to help them realize what they already feel deep down somewhere within them, because all of their lives they've been conditioned in the way that they've been raised by society, by their parents, their families, and they've been sort of brought up doing a certain habit that kind of goes against most people's natural instincts, which is, you know, most people do care about animals and they don't like to see animals, you know, being abused or being killed. So yeah, it's kind of that's why I ask a lot of questions, so open questions, because I'm not necessarily trying to argue with them. And sometimes you can just ask them a question and they'll kind of do the talking, and it will be like they're coming to their own realizations. So yeah, if that answers the question, I might have just got no, that's good. That's actually very clever, is to try to get them to start talking. I think essentially then you'll get them on a path to thinking, because the more they're talking, they think. But if you're talking, it's easy for them to just zone out and just say whatever. But if they're talking, they're more thinking and they're more active. And there's a phrase. I think there's a phrase which is something like, "You believe what you say, not what you hear." So they're coming to the actual realization themselves, and they're kind of making up their minds about things rather than being told how they should feel. Then I think it's quite important. Yeah, I think you said a lot there. So you can't force people to think a certain way, but you can certainly suggest to them a way to get there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I get in this argument a lot. It's like, I feel like there's a lot going wrong with politics and stuff. And you have people that are speaking out against injustices in political stuff, people being killed in wars, people being exploited as workers, stuff like this. And I always try to convince them that the same is true about the way we treat animals. Would you say that injustice is a full spectrum thing that encompasses all living beings?
Yeah, so veganism itself is a movement that's kind of dedicated to the exploitation of non-human animals. But then if you look at the core of veganism and why people do what they do and why they are towards animals, it's something called speciesism, which you're probably familiar with. And it's that whole kind of mindset that some lives are beneath other lives and some lives are less valuable, and we can do what we want with some beings. And it's kind of like a similar kind of concept to sexism, racism, speciesism. It's kind of looking at viewing others as their lives as less important or less valuable. So yeah, it all kind of does stem from these same sort of core issues, which is, one of the many reasons that I dedicate my time into sort of focusing on the animal holocaust, the non-human animal holocaust, is because, once you sort of get to the core of it, humans already believe that they're sort of up here and animals are down here. But if you're sort of getting people to consider the lives that they consider to be down here, then that will automatically sort of radiate, towards humans as well. So, yeah, it's all that. It's the same kind of core. All oppression sort of stems from the same kind of mindset, really.
Yeah, see, this is what I think. I always argue. I say, well, it's the same mechanisms in your brain that tell you it's okay to treat another living creature badly. And we're basically fishing for reasons why it's okay to kill children in conflicts or kill, billions of land animals or whatever it is. It's really difficult because I think these leftists and liberal kind of people really do have a soft spot in their heart, and yet the conditioning for eating animals is so strong, right?
Yeah, it's so ingrained. It's so ingrained to a point that people don't even consider the animals to be victims. That's how deep ingrained it is. And we really do have our work cut out for us.
Yeah. And there's always people who want to be funny about it and say, oh, yeah, bacon and all this stuff. But then there's probably every once in a while a person who's genuinely interested, do you ever get people that are genuinely interested and go, you know what? I'm going to try it.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I think with the kind of activism that I do, it's normally, I normally do a Cube of Truth with Anonymous for Voiceless. So we show footage of what happens to the animals. So the people that are stopping, it's kind of like both kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got the people who are there to be trolls, and then you've got the people who are there to be interested, who are really interested enough to stop and, kind of show an interest in what we're actually doing. So yeah, we get all the other people just walk by and they don't bother stopping. So it's kind of both sides that we get, really. But
the troll, how bad are the trolls?
I mean, I wouldn't say they're that bad, to be honest. I mean, they don't do anything. I mean, we have had people who have the worst that they do is they go and buy animal body part and they come, but we see that all the time. So
I've seen that. Time. Yeah.
But I mean, once it's happened, it's just like, okay, do you really think, I go in the supermarket and I walk through these, I call them graveyards, the meat aisles. I walk through there all the time and I constantly see these body parts. Every time I walk past a restaurant, someone's eating something. So do you really think that that's going to I don't know what their aim is. I think maybe they just want to, like appear a certain way, like with whoever they're with, you know.
That too, yeah. I think some of it is them trying to be funny, which is admirable, but and to some extent, okay, I get the joke. The thing that I don't want, you're trying to make me, you know, very juvenile way of thinking. But at the same time, they want to just get attention, and they need to be. And a lot of people don't have any stake in it. Like, and the other thing I think I realized, and maybe you agree or not, but being vegan for long enough, you realize that there is big swaths of the population that are lacking some basic empathy, or maybe I have too much empathy, or, you know, something.
Yeah, I mean, I think just on that last point that you said, I think in a way it's kind of like a bit of a protest. And sometimes, because from their kind of perspective, you know, they're walking past these vegans on the street, and, you know, these vegans are trying to change their lives, and, you know, they're trying to bring in new legislations and new rules, and, you know, and they're trying to tell me what I can and can't eat, and how dare they try and rule my life, you know, it's my choice, and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's kind of like a bit of a protest, like, you know, I'm going to stand here and eat this, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's just like, well, of course there's nothing we can do about it. You can go home and, like, you know, literally buy whatever you want. There's nothing that we can do about it. And, you know, we already know that. But I think in all of this, the victim is always forgotten. And sometimes they think, you know, these vegans, they're trying to change everybody and assert their dominance because they want everybody to live in a way that they want. But it's like, it's not about us. It's not about what vegans want. It's about what the animal victims want. Because it makes no odds to me. Obviously, I don't like it and I don't find it sad, but it's not about me and my emotions and how I feel about what's happening to the animals. It's about how they're feeling, because, you know, they certainly don't like it. And I think a lot of people do have empathy, but they kind of squash it so much, because the moment that they admit that they have these kind of, the moment they admit they are empathetic towards what's happening to the animals, it means that they've got to change, and they really don't want to.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the thing. I think you just hit it on the head. People really, the stubbornness for change is the worst, because discipline is hard I understand that it's hard to change your ways. But then again, it's like the greatest part about life is learning self-discipline and being able to accomplish something that was difficult.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it is just discipline. I think it's also the fact that once you kind of, you have those kind of empathetic feelings, and you admit to yourself that you don't want to hurt animals, you're basically acknowledging that throughout your whole life, you've been responsible for all of this torture and abuse, what's happening to the animals. And I think that is, it's a really difficult thing to kind of get your head around, because, you know, you're basically admitting that, you know, all of these years you've been living in a way that is unethical and immoral, and you've kind of got to own that, you know. And it can be hard to admit that.
Humans have this amazing ability to overlook things or bury it deep down and not address it and let it sit and ferment, and eventually maybe it comes out one day. But we're masters at completely trying to ignore the reality of a situation, especially if it, like you said, makes us have to change who we are, which is the worst thing you could ask a human to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. We are complicated species.
Aren't we complicated? Just needlessly complicated. And beyond that, you know, we have this health element, which we should always play up, which I always argue first, because I realize how selfish and unempathetic a lot of people are. So I always say, well, it's also whole food, plant-based diet, one of the healthiest diets you can get right now.
Yeah.
Meat's full of saturated fat. you know. So that's a good argument. I usually try to bring up, but not all vegans eat the whole food plant-based. Some people like to get some ice cream and hamburgers, and that's cool too.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, when I do talk about the health aspect of things, I try and be cautious with it, because I don't want to kind of make the claim, veganism is so healthy, because literally you could just eat Doritos and ice cream and all the processed foods, burgers and sausages, and literally we could eat the same things, but obviously a vegan version. And then you might get people, oh, veganism ruined my health. Well, okay, but what exactly were you eating? Because when people say, I have it all the time, like, I've tried a vegan diet, and I know people who have been on a vegan diet, and I'm just like, well, what do you mean a vegan diet? Like, it isn't just one diet. Yeah. Like, a vegan diet or a plant-based diet, it can vary massively. You can get so many different kind of variations of a plant-based diet. It depends, how you make that diet up,
Well, this is why I always say, like, the whole food plant-based thing, because if the people get on the diet, the vegan and whatever vegan, they abstain from animal products and they start eating something different. Mm-hmm. We want that thing to be good so that they feel good. And you can get healthy food to taste good, right? But to get them healthy food to where at the end of the day, they don't, well, I've been doing this for 3 weeks and now I'm getting fat and I don't feel good. Like, So I always tell people, and John Oberg, he's like, no, if they want to eat junk food, let them eat junk food. I'm like, yeah, well, if you want extra points, go whole food plant-based, and then you won't ever have to like change your diet ever again. You won't ever have other health issues, because I mean, let's face it, Ben & Jerry's has a vegan ice cream it's fucking delicious. It's delicious.
They have many delicious flavors. The brownie one. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Dude, the cookie dough one. Did you try that one?
Oh yeah. I think they do like maybe like a mixture of cookie dough and brownie together. So.
Oh Lord, I'm off that. I can't. It's been about 2 years maybe since I had that stuff. But it's so good.
Yeah, I mean the thing with the health side of things, I think that when you're kind of advocating for somebody to go vegan, and say for example, if people have gone plant-based, obviously veganism is like an ethical principle, and people go vegan for the animals, but obviously there's a lot of misconceptions about what veganism is. So some people, they adopt a plant-based diet and they say that they've gone vegan, even though they haven't adopted the ethical principle of veganism.
That's true. That's true. What would be the difference then if they go plant-based? What would they be missing? Or if they eat fish sometimes, that's no good. But what's the difference between plant-based and vegan?
So plant-based, veganism is like it's a complete stance against animal exploitation and cruelty. So it's adopting the philosophy. So that will not only extend to your diet, what you're eating, but it will also extend to other areas that you might spend your money. So for example, I wouldn't buy makeup that's used to test on animals. I wouldn't go to anywhere that's using animals for entertainment. Zoos, safari parks. I wouldn't wear anybody's skin, no leather or fur or any kind of animal products, wool. It's kind of adopting the whole principle that animals aren't here to serve us. But plant-based, it doesn't extend that. Plant-based is just the diet. And the problem with that is obviously not only you've got the misconception where people are identifying as vegan when they don't hold the ethical principle, but also you've got the issue of people, when they want like a cheat day, or when they think, oh, you know what, I don't really care about my health that much anymore, then they'll go back to abusing animals or buying products of animal abuse. So, but when I always try and sort of focus on the animals, on the victim, because I think that when you've got them sort of in your, you've got them at the top of your mind, that's something that you're not going to go back on, because you're doing it for them, rather than, you can't just say, oh, I'm not going to be healthy today, or, I'll have a cheat day, or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, ideally, you'd want both then. You'd want to start with the animals, and that way you would be committed to not cheating, to avoiding it as much as humanly possible. And then on top of it, go healthy with it so that you can remain, because I think it's a two-sided thing. To get them in, there's one trick, but to keep them in and keep them healthy, and so that they don't pull a Miley Cyrus and say, well, I tried it and it's not good anymore. You hate to see that. So it's better. I think she was eating a lot of spinach, which had oxalates in it, which was messing up her protein intake, and she blew it. And so you got plenty of these French fry munchers who go, I was vegan for a while, but then it didn't work, and so now. So exactly. It has to be multi-pronged. We have to come at these people with that. But and like you said, you can't even go for horse rides or eat honey. Is that correct?
Well, I can, but obviously I'd choose not to.
Well, I mean, as a vegan. Obviously, I'm vegan too.
Yeah. That's the thing. So I don't want to put people off. You can't do this, because veganism isn't a dictatorship, and you only don't do those things because you choose not to, because you've decided that animals aren't here for our use. So I always tend to correct people when I'm out on the streets and they're like, oh, so you can't eat honey, and I'm like, well, I can eat honey, but I choose not to.
That's clever.
Yeah, if I say I can't do it, it's kind of like I'm missing out. But if I say, well, I can do it, I just choose not to, then it's kind of like, well, I'm not missing out. I can do that. But
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't, and I don't even think of it like, I even give people a pass. I say, look, veganism isn't about perfection. It's about avoiding animal products whenever, like, as much as you can. And this is the idea, is to avoid animal products because it's messed up to exploit animals and eat them or use their stuff. And I think that also gives them a little bit of wiggle room where they don't feel, oh, this isn't like a dogmatic religious kind of thing. No. Choose your own level of involvement. If you want to just do weekends to start, do weekends to start. We're not going to gatekeep you. We're not going to stop you from being a part of the thing. Go vegan as often as you can. We'll root for you every time you do. And I'm never going to, yell at you for breaking down. Just know that you got to get back and try to focus on not, hurting other living beings. It's fair. Didn't we learn this in school early on,
We did.
Yeah. So, I mean, you had your mom go vegan, right?
Well, I say plant-based because she's not adopted the whole vegan philosophy as of
Why?
Yet. Well,
Mom.
Because I don't know. Well, basically, it's a very new thing for her. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say, she's not vegan, or because she's still doing this, and this, because I don't really know where she is with it at the moment. So, yeah, I've been trying to sort of like educate her in terms of, okay, well, when you're going shopping, this is what you can do. Really like simple things, because it's so alien to her as somebody who's like in her 50s, who's grown up eating the same things. She's like a creature of habit. So it's a very, I've been trying to sort of show her, these really small little things that she can do. But the main thing is that she's got the desire, like she's committed, like, okay, this is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to try, my hardest with. And the reason that I don't say she's vegan is because I don't know where she is with that. And yeah, I think initially she was kind of like scared to tell me. What her initial plan was is that she was going to sort of go plant-based or get to a certain stage and only tell me once she'd got there, because she's so scared of messing up. So that's why I don't want to say like, you know, she's completely plant-based or she's completely vegan until she's come out and said, okay.
Fair enough. Don't show her this. Let's not show her no pressure, Mom. No pressure. But I mean, what are some of the meals that she's used to? I mean, what does she like so much that it's hard for her to get away?
I don't know. I mean, she's grown up on like, you know, the typical, like, you know, slices of ham and cheese in the sandwich, and everything's kind of oriented around animal products, like, you know,
meat and potatoes.
Yeah, you know, the whole thing, you know, Sunday dinner, you know, it's got to have, you know, some kind of animal product in. So yeah, everything's kind of centered around that, and I think, you know, changing those kind of habits, I won't say it isn't difficult, but I mean, when you look at what the animals are going through and what they're experiencing, making those switches, it may be a little bit of an inconvenience to you, but to them, it's their whole life. So I've been planting these seeds now for a couple of years, and yeah, you get it with family when you go out with them and you know, try and going on about veganism, and if they're like, you know, they're bringing stuff up, and you know, sometimes you're having like heated conversations, and then you go home and you're feeling really like rubbish, and you're like, you know, why weren't they listening to me? But then she started saying things that I've said previously that I didn't realize that she was even listening. And it's like, you know, things that are kind of compatible with veganism, and that's why I kind of think that one day she might be vegan, like hold those principles, because she's been saying things like, you know, well, you know, it won't be an injustice that lasts forever, and, you know, things like that. And I'm like, when did you hear me say this? So yeah, she's been saying like these like vegan things. So yeah, it does kind of, you might think that when you're talking to your parents or your family members, you might think you're getting absolutely nowhere with them, but you might be. Yeah.
I think it's like the drop of water on the stone. It's like, if you do it just persistently, never give up, always be talking about it, eventually something will give. But I mean, did you show her the slaughterhouse footage, or does she just try to not look at that stuff?
Initially, yeah, because I mean, I probably came across like, or I probably came off a little bit strong at first, because, you know, I've only been vegan for 2.5 years. And you know, when you initially go vegan and you find out all of this information, and you're like, oh my God, like, I need to tell everyone about this. Do they know about this? So, you know, I was bombarding all my family members with this information, like, oh my God, look at this. Have you seen this? You know, expecting them to be like, no way, I'm going to go vegan too. But they didn't. And as time went on, I still kind of persisted, but yeah, it was like disheartening. Like, you know, you've seen this. Why aren't you doing something about it? You know? Yeah. So yeah, initially they were probably a bit like, I probably did go in a bit strong, and they were probably like a bit sick of me. And I don't think she probably watched many things, but I did, as the years went on, as the 2 years went on, I took a step back, and my main focus over the past 6 months has been kind of channeling all of my energy into people who are kind of
perceptive,
yeah,
open for the
exactly.
If the door is open, that you can actually get in there.
Exactly, and putting information out online and things like that. And I think the more I kind of like gave my mom a little bit of like breathing space, the more she's kind of been like, oh, so what's this she's been doing, you know? So she's been like watching some of my content and paying more attention. And I think that partly the reason is because, I kind of backed off and started putting a lot of my energy into, outreaching strangers and people that I can get through to easily or a lot easier because there's no kind of like relationship there. But then she wants a relationship with me as well, as her daughter. So I think part of it as well is kind of like, well, I want my daughter, how can I get closer to my daughter? And yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, ever since she's started showing an interest and, asking me things about veganism and, sending me pictures of her meals and, oh, look what I've just brought from the shops. And, we've got like a whole new relationship now, and it's brilliant. And, I think every vegan says, once one of their family members go vegan, the whole kind of, it just changes for the better. And you haven't got that kind of like barrier that was there before, where one of your family members are kind of directly going against something that you're fighting so hard for. And it's kind of like they're on the opposite side of the fence to you, throwing weapons at you when you're trying to, stop them. And you're trying to defend the animals that they're trying to attack. So it's like,
we're a tribe. I thought we were all together here. Why are we so different here? I thought we were friends. I thought we were family. Yeah. Exactly.
And you've already got, on the opposite side of the fence, you've already got, the whole 98% of the world that you're going up against, and you want your family stood next to you, fighting with you. And there's always going to be that element of like disappointment and hurt that they're not stood by your side. But then at the same time, you've also got to remember that, that I'm the one who's kind of, from their perspective, I'm the one I've changed. I've became vegan. I wasn't always vegan. And, now I've got to do it as well because, so you kind of, you've got to consider that as well. But it's so difficult in the face of things when you're fighting for the animals every day and you're seeing what they're going through and, looking at their videos and you're knowing that your family members are playing a part of that. So.
Yeah. And that we, like you said, 98% of the people aren't vegan. And so we're a hated minority group that really, for nothing more than trying to be more compassionate to animals, we endure so much ridicule and trolling and bullying and ridiculous excuses. We always hear the same ones over and over and over. But it's actually nice. Some days I feel like the world's against us, but then I talk to somebody like you and I feel so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it's with all social justice movements, there's always that resistance. And I think as vegans, we just have to remember that we're part of this moment in time, which is, really difficult, and it might be all we ever know, but in the grand scheme of things, we are on a path as other social justice movements to progress.
Yeah. Well, I always love this saying, and it's about paying it forward and just being persistent and keep trying. And even though you might not ever see the fruits of your labor, but at least you spent your life speaking out against what's right and what's wrong. And said, a real good person is somebody who plants trees for shade that they'll never get to enjoy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think there was actually a poll. It was somebody asked AI recently, in what year will the world be vegan, or what year will we be fully plant-based? And I think it was something like it might have been like 2048, but I did the maths and I worked out how old I would be. And I think I was like in my very late 80s, maybe early 90s. And I was like, wow, if this is true, I might actually live to see all this hard work pay off. But I mean, even if I don't, I think that I would rather die fighting for not for what I believe in, fighting for justice and not seeing the outcome, than not fighting at all.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't have anything else to do in my life because I'm never going to be fully happy, because I know exactly what humanity and life consists of, and the corruption and the disgusting, depraved nonsense that goes on. But I do have a fight and I do have energy, so I will spend the rest of my life making sure that other people aren't suffering. Like if I was ever rich, all my money would be gone right away because I would give it to all the people that needed it more than me.
Yeah.
Because I'm stupid like that, I guess.
I mean, I used to have, I used to be very career orientated, and, I wanted to make loads of money and have loads of things, possessions and stuff. But then, and I'm not saying that, you shouldn't strive to get things that make you happy, but,
sure.
Considering once your time comes, all of that's gone and none of it matters and all of it's left behind. And I think that I care more now about the legacy that I'm leaving behind and how I've had an impact on the world, rather than, getting monetary gain or, things like that. So.
Ooh, look at my pretty clothes. Ooh, look at my cool car. I bought a really expensive car and I go real fast in it. I don't understand loud noises or luxury goods or going real fast in a car. I really don't care.
Yeah. I mean, especially like if you've got kids as well, like, I haven't got kids, but, when my niece was born, it gave me a different perspective, because it's like, well, one day she's going to be here and I'm not. And, what kind of world do I want to leave behind? What kind of person do I want people to say, my auntie was this kind of person, or, because like, let's face it, like, I think there's I can't remember where I read this, but, somebody was asking, like, do you know your great grandparents' names or their parents? Because they're forgotten. Like, nobody remembers their parents. Like, after about 3 generations, maybe 4 generations, you're kind of forgotten. But you can make a lasting impact on the world, and even if people don't remember your name or what you looked like, the actions of how you lived will continue to exist, hopefully.
That's what I think is great, is people who step outside their own time period that they're alive and understand that you have this opportunity to carve something out that's great. Think of all the old painters in the Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, all this cool stuff that happened a long time ago, and that somebody really did give their entire life and left something that was long lasting, that gave people enjoyment long after they were dead. That's pretty cool. That's a cool thing. We need to think more like that. It's not be so primitive. And everybody really, I find a lot of human beings just want that immediate gratification. They want to just, feed me chicken and I'm going to smoke and I'm going to drink and do all this stuff. And it's,
people,
it's kind of,
they just want to feel comfortable and stay in their comfortable bubble and not, I mean, because it is daunting, stepping outside of that and being different. And nobody likes the idea of, stepping outside of the rest of humanity and saying, because we're creatures of, we're like social creatures, we want to be accepted and we want to fit in. And nobody really wants to, everybody sort of wants to fit in and blend in with the rest
it's
of
the
society.
safety thing too. Like, it's like fish, where they always want to swim with each other just to stay safe, because if they're all together, then they feel safe.
Sorry, I had to plug my computer in because I thought I'd done that, but yeah.
Yeah. But it's like out of safety, everybody kind of does the same thing. Penguins all huddle together, fish swim together, birds fly together. And it's sort of a safety mechanism that keeps them from doing the wrong thing. As well, if I'm doing what Bill is doing, then I should be good to go. But then stuff changes, and we have to say, well, we should change what we're doing. Do you ever argue the environmental impacts of animal agriculture?
Not so much now. When I first went vegan, I was really, there was so much information that I was finding out, like, oh my God, and eating animals is responsible for this. You've got so many different kind of like elements to it. So, obviously you've got the health side, but then if you look into that, you've also got, the cholesterol and the heart disease, and then you've got all of these zoonotic diseases, like bird flu, and you've got,
bird
SARS,
flu,
and then you've got antibiotic resistance, and then, you've got all of this on the health side of things, and then you've got the environmental side of things, and within that category, you've got, the deforestation and soil degradation and oceanic dead zones, and you've got all of these things. Species extinction, that's a huge one, and I think that there's a lot of crossover. So obviously, species extinction and habitat loss, this obviously comes into animal rights, and obviously, because the thing is with the environment, people only care about the environment because of who it's impacting, because obviously, trees don't have feelings, trees don't feel. It's about the humans or the non-human animals who it's impacting by that. So yeah, I try and stick on the topic of the animals now, because that's more of my sort of passion. But not to play down trees, because let me tell you something, trees are adorable. Trees are our lungs. They're the lungs of the earth. They give us all of our oxygen.
That's true. I read the book, The Secret Life of Trees. It's a wonderful book, and it talks about how when you cut a branch off a tree, he actually does kind of notice it, like he feels it, but it takes him like years to respond. So he's like in slow motion saying, "Ow!" Oh
no, I get
it's
that.
True.
Yeah, I get these comments a lot about, plants have feelings, blah blah blah.
Oh, well, not to that degree. No. That's a big difference between a what do you call it, a nervous system and like a plant. And then, honestly, if I'm going to eat plants too, I also give them credit for being alive, and I don't go out and kick plants and, mess with plants that are growing. They're all like peace and respect and stuff, but it's not the same. You don't feel, the plants feel pain, people. Sometimes want to punch people. Yeah,
but plants, they are very intelligent, and they have their, is it like, sensory kind of responses?
Yeah.
But I can't remember like the actual term for it. So they react to sunlight and, various different things. But yeah, that's a common a common one that I've come up against is the whole plants feel pain and crop deaths.
Yeah, every time I remember when the story came out where they said, well, they scream a little bit or whatever. I'm like, they don't scream. They emit a popping noise because they can. It has very little to do with an anthropomorphized kind of emotion that we have. And they say, oh my God, they're weeping. No, they're not weeping.
Yeah, I mean, my potato was actually screaming in the microwave recently. It was making a very, very high-pitched squealing sound, and I was very concerned. I was very concerned for my poor little potato.
I had a carrot one time, and when you get a carrot, they have these little strings, like the little kind of roots that come off the sides. There are these little microscopic strings. And I sat for like 45 minutes because I swore that I was getting a reaction out of these carrots. We sound crazy now. But I touched this thing. I would touch the hair like this, and the hair would sort of slowly curl up like it was still alive or something. But wow. I don't, if anybody's a scientist, please get in touch with me right away. But maybe I was high. I don't know.
I mean, I would like to know why my potato was screaming.
It must have been an air pocket inside. It was like if it microwaves, it radiates this potato, and all the moisture comes shooting out this hole. Then it maybe made a little like whistling noise.
Yeah, I've got a video of it as well. I was like, I've got to get this.
Send it my way. I'll find some scientists. We'll figure out the mystery of the whistling potato.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, come back and do this again. This was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
You were brave to come on my show.
Why brave?
Oh, because I'm crazy. I'm a dirty old hobo.
Ah, right. Okay. I thought, do you have a lot of non-vegan audience members who listen, or?
I do, yeah. Well, my trick is that I do a multi-genre sort of podcast, and then I invite, smart people, PhD kind of people, but then I invite my friends, all the cool activists that I know, and then just basically do politics and environmental stuff and stuff like that. I was homeless for like 10, 15 years in America, and I just drove around, lived in my van, and had terrible, terrible times and wild adventures. And then now I'm retired, and that was my whole career. And now I do this.
Wow, nice. Hence the name of the podcast.
Yeah, and sort of another thing, like, well, if we don't shape up, we're all going to be homeless romantics here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then I never really fit in with one particular group. I always kind of bopped around. But I have to say, vegans are my favorite people I ever met because they're the nicest, most polite, and empathetic people to talk with. And I just love having good conversations. And so you guys take the cake when it comes to chats. You're great.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I can't speak for all vegans. I'm sure there are.
Oh, I'm talking directly to you. You're wonderful.
I'm sure there are plenty of idiot vegans out there as well.
That's true. That is true. I met some like Israeli Zionist vegans who were like, I like to kill Palestinian children, but I save the animals. I'm like, oh God. Okay. Well. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. Right-wing people who are like, I hate homeless people and immigrants, but I don't eat animals because they're cute. I'm like, okay. Love knows no bounds, people. It's all about just trying not to make everybody else's existence miserable.
Yep.
And it's easy. So what, you going to come back and do this again?
Yeah, if you have me.
Of course. I always need, and look, I'm going to also get in debates with people where I might need your expertise as a activist who knows all the facts. And I might ring you in and say, hey, we got this guy over here. Come on my show. Tell him how it really is.
Here we go. Yeah. No, I do. I want to be, I want to do more, online based activism, maybe like some debates, yeah, I think it's a good way to do things when you don't have the time to go out onto the streets. You can just, an hour in the week or something, get online. So yeah, I want to do more of it. So
if you're down, I'll tag you in because I'm going to try to keep getting into arguments with people on the internet. That's what I do best. I go, and then I reel them in and say, well, come on the show and debate me then. Yeah. And then try to make good content out of it. And also because people like conflict, they want to see people argue and stuff. It'd be good. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like, I do get into the whole, typing back and forth, when people comment on my videos and
terrible.
Things like that. And I'll try and sometimes try and start some dialogue with them, but it can be difficult. And I think, you can, I might just start saying, let's just go live, just come online, let's have a debate. Let's not typing, too time consuming.
That's the smartest thing. The strategy I'm using now is when I'm arguing, somebody says something stupid to me that I've heard a million times. I either hit them with the Chat GPT response, which is just like, here's all the reasons to go vegan. Just here's a packaged thing. Or I say, come on the show. I'll tear you a new one. You walk away. You go to the doctor, get it patched up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I think.
Jack Higgs has been doing a lot of that. I'm not sure if you know. Jack Higgs is an Australian activist, and they're very entertaining to watch. You know, some of the people that he has on there.
Is that Tash Peterson too, or?
I don't think Tash has been doing as many, but I know it's becoming like more of a common thing, more of like a common theme is, you know, seeing vegan activists going live with people, having these kind of debates. It's becoming like it seems to be becoming more popular.
Good. I think that's good. I just saw the militant vegan who I just discovered. She debated the carnivore doctor.
Oh God, that was
Did you see this?
I loved that. I saw it because Jack shared it on his YouTube. Hilarious.
And I have always hated that guy for being the way he is and just being typical in his way. And then she was just so excited too. She was so on point, but she was so over the top angry with this guy. And he's like, yeah, I guess I lost the debate. It's like, yeah, you did. You really did.
I think she's very, very smart in how she goes about these things, because I don't think you could have possibly watched that and got bored. I don't think anybody could have thought, right, that's it. This is boring now, because she's so theatrical and so entertaining to watch. And I really enjoyed that. It's probably one of the favorite debates that I've watched.
Oh, that was like a boxing match. I thought, oh my God, she's just serving him knuckle sandwich after knuckle sandwich.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, we need to come. I like my peaceful vegans who are like, no, we need to be nice and make sure everybody's, and then I like my friends who are like, we should just go and knock burritos out of people's hands and stuff and intimidate. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm down. I like it all. Let's be aggressive. Let's be nice. We'll see what works and what doesn't. Yeah. All right. Well, great. We'll sign off to everybody and then we'll talk after this. Do you have anything to add before we go?
No, just, thank you so much for having me. And, if anyone wanted to follow me, Gem Lettuce, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok as well.
Yeah. Check her out. Gem Lettuce.
Yeah.
The one, the only, amazing activist, vegan extraordinaire, wonderful human being. We'll see you guys next time. Don't let your meatloaf and go vegan. Bye.